Welcome to the fifth candle, where faith pierces the darkest storms. Meet Caleb, an 18-year-old in Atlanta, 2025, whose viral TikTok fame unravels a hidden battle. Shame, despair, and a faith on the brink. Will a shattering moment in the chaos lead him to Christ, or break him forever? This Gen Z story holds shocking twists you won't see coming. Subscribe, hit the bell, and hold on. Caleb Jackson grew up in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, where the city's vibrant energy clashed with the quiet faith of his childhood. Raised by his praying grandmother after his parents' divorce, Caleb found solace in their small Baptist church. Every Sunday, he'd sit in the worn wooden pews, sunlight streaming through stained glass, memorizing scriptures like Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to give you hope and a future. But at 18, as a freshman at Georgia State University in May 2025, Caleb felt like a stranger in his own life. His African-American heritage filled him with pride, but he struggled to fit in with his diverse, party-loving peers. The pressure to belong weighed heavy on his heart. One fateful night, at a frat party near campus, Caleb let his guard down, dancing wildly, laughing too loud, downing a few drinks to numb his doubts. He didn't notice his ex-girlfriend, Aaliyah, filming him in the dim, neon-lit chaos. The next morning, Caleb woke to a living nightmare. Aaliyah had posted a TikTok of him, captioned "Church Boy Gone Wild." The video exploded, 3 million views in 48 hours. Comments tore into him like knives, "Hypocrite," or "Fake Christian." Caleb's chest tightened with anxiety, his breath shallow. He'd been battling depression since his grandma's death a year ago, hiding it behind a forced smile. But now, this viral fame felt like a spotlight on his deepest shame, exposing the cracks in his carefully built facade. That viral video shattered Caleb's fragile confidence, like glass splintering under pressure. Aaliyah's caption cut deep. She'd blamed him for their breakup months ago, saying his church boy rules made her feel judged for her free-spirited ways. Now, she'd exposed him to the world to get back at him, her revenge playing out in millions of views. Caleb messaged her, his fingers trembling. "Why would you do this to me?" Her reply was cold. "You needed to be humbled." The TikTok comments were relentless. Some called him a fake. Others messaged him party invites, assuming he was down for more chaos. Caleb's anxiety spiraled into panic attacks, his heart racing as he scrolled through the hate. He stopped going to classes, barricading himself in his dorm, the weight of his double life crushing him like a vice. He'd always pretended to be fine, smiling at church, acing school, keeping up the perfect image. But depression had been his silent, suffocating battle for years. At his lowest, he sat on his bed, the dim light of his laptop casting shadows, and wrote in his journal, "God, do you even see me?" Or, "I'm breaking." A verse his grandma taught him whispered in his mind, Psalm 34 verse 18. "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit." But in that moment, Caleb felt so far from God, like a ship lost in a storm, with no lighthouse in sight. Desperate to escape the storm in his mind, Caleb accepted an invite to another party, a massive rave in downtown Atlanta, hoping the noise would drown out his pain. The music pounded through his chest, lights flashed in a dizzying blur, and for a fleeting moment, he felt free, lost in the crowd's energy. But the night spiraled into chaos. A fight broke out, shouts, bottles smashing, glass shattering on the floor. Caleb was pushed into a corner by a drunk stranger, the man's breath reeking of liquor as he sneered, "What's this, preacher boy?" He grabbed Caleb's cross necklace, the one his grandma gave him, and ripped it off. Snapping the chain, Caleb's vision blurred with rage. He shoved the man back, his heart pounding like a drum. Security dragged Caleb out, his shirt torn, his mind a whirlwind of shame and anger. He stumbled into the Atlanta streets, running blindly, tears streaming down his face. As the city lights blurred around him, his thoughts turned darker than the night. He thought of the pills in his dorm, the ones he'd stared at too many times, wondering if they'd end his pain. In despair, he collapsed on the steps of an old church, its lights glowing softly like a beacon. The door creaked open, and an elderly janitor appeared, his eyes kind, his voice gentle. "You look like you need a friend." He sat beside Caleb, a quiet presence in the storm. The janitor, Mr. Thomas, handed Caleb a cup of water, his hands steady despite the late hour. Caleb poured out his heart. The viral video, the party, the depression that had haunted him since his grandma's passing. Mr. Thomas listened, his face etched with understanding, then shared a story that made Caleb's breath catch. "I used to be a pastor here," or "I knew your grandmother. She prayed for you every day, even on her last days." Caleb froze, his eyes wide. Mr. Thomas had retired after his own battles with grief, but he'd made a promise to Caleb's grandma to watch over her family, even if from the shadows. He looked at Caleb with a quiet strength and quoted Matthew 5 verse 16, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds, and glorify your Father in heaven." "You're not a hypocrite, son," he said softly, or "You're human. God's not done with you yet." Caleb's tears fell freely, his chest heaving. He felt seen for the first time in years. Mr. Thomas prayed over him, his voice a steady anchor. "Lord, lift this boy up, show him your light." As Caleb left the church, the first rays of dawn breaking over Atlanta, he felt a spark of hope flickering in his soul. But when he returned to his dorm, the darkness crept back in, heavier than ever. That night, alone with his thoughts, Caleb took the pills he'd hidden in his drawer, an overdose attempt. As his vision blurred, a vivid image flashed before him, his childhood church, his grandma's voice singing a hymn, her words clear as day. "Keep going, Caleb." Caleb woke in the hospital, his throat dry, his body weak, but alive. His roommate had found him just in time, calling it a miracle. But Caleb knew it was more than that. The vision of his childhood church, his grandma's voice, it had felt so real, like a lifeline pulling him back. Days later, still shaken, he got a DM on TikTok from a user named Hope. The message read, "I saw your video, Caleb," or "You're not alone. Join us." It linked to a secret online Bible study group for Gen Z. Caleb hesitated, then joined, finding a Zoom room filled with kids like him, struggling with faith, but seeking truth. Hope was a 20-year-old named Leah, who'd lost her brother to suicide, and now led digital evangelism to reach broken youth. Through the group, Caleb found the strength to heal, sharing his story, his voice trembling, but growing steadier each day. One Sunday, he felt a pull to visit his childhood church, the one from his vision. Stepping inside, the familiar scent of polished wood and candle wax washed over him. He sat in the pew where his grandma always prayed, and there, tucked beneath the seat, he found a hidden letter in her handwriting. It read, "Caleb, my sweet boy, God has plans for you, plans to give you hope, as Jeremiah 29 verse 11 promises. Shine for him, even in the dark." Tears streamed down Caleb's face. The vision hadn't been a dream. God had spoken through his grandma, guiding him back to faith. That letter became Caleb's turning point, a sacred step toward healing. With Leah's encouragement, he posted a raw TikTok, holding his grandma's letter up to the camera, his voice steady with conviction. "I was lost. Depression, fame, shame tore me apart, but God found me in my darkest moment." Or, "If you're struggling, there's hope waiting for you." The video exploded, 5 million views in days. Comments flooded in, raw and real. "I'm done running from God." One wrote, "Thank you, Caleb. I needed this," said another. Even Aaliyah reached out, her voice soft with regret. "I'm so sorry," or "Can we talk?" She joined the Bible study group, her heart softening as she rediscovered faith. Caleb and Leah's group grew into a Gen Z movement. #Sacred Steps trended across social media, a beacon for youth seeking light. A 2025 Harvard poll revealed 43% of young Americans feel disconnected, craving community. But Caleb's story proved faith could bridge that gap, one heart at a time. He returned to his childhood church, standing in the pulpit where his grandma once sang, now filled with teens hungry for hope. His light shone bright, just as Matthew 5 verse 16 urged, "Let your light shine before others." From shattered screens to sacred steps, Caleb's journey showed American youth that God's grace can heal even the deepest wounds, turning chaos into a revival that echoed across a generation. What a journey of redemption! Caleb's story, from a viral TikTok nightmare to a divine vision, reflects the real struggles of American youth today. Depression, identity, and digital pressures are heavy. But Psalm 34 verse 18 reminds us God is close to the brokenhearted, and Romans 8 verse 28 promises he works all things for good. Which moment touched you most? The party, the vision, or the revival? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and how this story spoke to your heart. Subscribe and hit the bell for more tales of Christian healing. Until then, let your light shine bright